Hi, I'm Dr. David Kashmer. Welcome to the webinar on our MCAT Transformation Protocol from MCAT Smackdown. This is all about going from score leak diagnosis to MCAT success. This is an on-demand masterclass. I'm providing it. I'm a board-certified surgeon. I'm a chair of an admissions committee for a medical school, and I help the MCAT Smackdown team prep you and take you from wherever you are now to your best self on the MCAT on the day of. Let's get to how you can do that with these tools, tips, and techniques. In fact, you probably don't have a studying problem. That's probably not what is preventing you from doing your best on the MCAT. And imagine why today you decided to watch a webinar on how to perform your best. You probably care a lot, quite bright, interested in being a physician, obviously, and you've been through a lot in your undergrad and your performance has been pretty good. You don't probably have a studying problem. You made it very far. If you're studying maybe 30, 40, even 50 hours a week, I've seen it, and your score isn't moving, you definitely don't have a studying problem. You have a leak problem. In fact, most students that I see underperform on the MCAT typically have a leak problem, not a studying problem. Right now, points are draining out of your score in 5 specific, findable, fixable places. Most students never find them because they've been told to study more instead of studying the leak and themselves for maximal performance. If you've never seen the MCAT before, this is also for you because this webinar is going to start you off on your best foot. Let's talk about the 5 leaks, those hidden drains costing you points. Let's talk about your dominant leak and how to spot it. And let's talk about following the protocol to go to your target score. Well, this is me. I'm a board-certified surgeon. I've started a program in general surgery. I was the first program director and founding a program director for a general surgery residency. I'm the associate dean for innovation and simulation and chair of surgery for a medical school. I've sat on both sides of the admissions process. I know who gets in and why, and I know what the score needs to do to get you where you want to be. In surgery and in quality engineering, a lot of my background is about how to engineer quality with something called a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. It doesn't matter what it is, but it does matter that it's helping to make things the best quality system that we can. I've learned with all these certifications and all this stuff, the reason I even tell you this, I've learned that in surgery and in quality engineering, we don't fix a bad outcome by working harder. We fix the points where the defects are created and enter the system. That's what we do. The MCAT's no different. Sometimes it's hard when you're so in it to see your own reasons why things line up to make defects. But that's why MCAT Smackdown exists. It's built to do the work and to help you as a tool so that you can be your best self. It turns out the MCAT is not a knowledge test. It's a performance-under-constraint test. The students who jump aren't the ones who necessarily know more. They're the ones who leak less. Well, let's talk about the 5 hidden leaks. These are the 5 we use in our framework. These are sort of the best names we give them. Students often have more than one. I'm thinking about the word diagnosis, and so talking about patients. But students often can be diagnosed with more than one. One is a content gap. This is just where you don't have the facts, or you don't have the equations or the enzymes, kind of the basics. Most people don't have issues with content gaps, but that's okay. If you do, MCAT Smackdown has that content in there to make sure you get through those. Cars and reasoning strategy, another big gap. You knew the facts, still got it wrong. Lots of classic reasons for this, from time management on the cars section to answering questions beyond the passage. There's a lot of them. 3, timing and execution in general. These are often pacing errors with the exam and answer second guessing once you've done your best on it. These are their own bucket. Endurance and stamina, another leak. This is an accuracy collapse in the back half of the exam. And then one that is very hard. It's often very hard to understand what's not there. But one thing that is a big leak is what is not there, and that's accountability in your study system. If you have a study system that doesn't help hold you accountable, for many students, that's a silent leak behind all errors. And MCAT Smackdown is built to help you be accountable, have you check in, be with a cohort, in addition to your strong self-motivation, which you probably have as a student who's made it so far. Let's talk about leak 1 and 2. Those are content and reasoning. Leak number 1 is a content gap. This is the leak everybody assumes they have. And so if you just study more, do that biology chapter again, watch that YouTube video again, you think you're going to fix it. But guess what? Under a third of misses are true content gaps. And over-treating this leak is probably one of the most common prep mistakes that we see made. Leak 2, cars and reasoning. This is where the real points hide. A reasoning leak is when you know every fact, but you still got it wrong. And the MCAT asks you to apply things in what seems like an unfamiliar passage. Cognitive load theory explains it. Overloaded working memory collapses reasoning, even when knowledge is intact. So you know plenty, can't reason it out, time pressure and overloaded working memory. You can't fix that with flashcards. It can't be another Anki or another. You have to rewire the pattern through deliberate drilling. Leaks 3, 4, and 5, execution, stamina, accountability. Timing and execution is big. Pacing errors, misreading questions, changing right answers to wrong answers. The research is pretty blunt. Anxiety-driven second-guessing accounts for a huge share of the gap between how you practice and your real scores. That's important to use a test prep that has not just some element of timing accountability or time pressure, also one that sort of looks and feels sort of like the interface you'll use, something that kind of forces you or directs you to simulate the test under pretty good conditions that are similar. All these things conspire to help your timing and execution. Endurance and stamina. Well, the MCAT is long. It's 7.5 hours. It's a physiological event. I like how we have it on the slide. It's a physiological event. Most students prep in about 60 to 90 blocks, and they never train the back half. And so guess what? It's different to answer the same question in the first block versus the last one after everything that has come before. So accuracy quietly collapses by hour 6, and they never even see it because they haven't gotten there. A non-accountable system. Well, this is one that's the silent leak behind all others. Disciplined students drift off plan constantly. Not from laziness, but because a self-directed plan with no accountability structure has nothing catching the drift. So self-directed courses, ones where you sign up, you have months to go, say, I'm going to get myself through this. Well, life happens. It's very different if you have an accountable study plan versus if you don't, or one that's just accountable to you, or one that you can push off very easily. That kind of dedication to an accountable study plan makes a huge difference. Well, let's find your leak now. And the way to do that is to answer these 5 questions honestly in your head. It won't be exact. This is just to give you a sense of your leak. In MCAT Smackdown, we do a couple things. First, when you go to MCATSmackdown.com, there's a readiness exam there. That'll tell you your biggest section for opportunity, and it'll give you your approximate score. So that's a huge beginning to this. The next part is when you're in the course, you get an early diagnostic that really formally diagnoses your leaks just beyond what's sort of intuitive to you. That's super useful for the rest of the course and how it's structured with modern learning theory. One question that you can ask to help find your leak, or at least give you a sense, is review your reaction. When you take a test question, you say, I didn't know that, or I knew it but picked wrong. Those are very different. Or I ran out of time. Count your last 10 misses. Or if you do the review, if you do the readiness assessment on MCATSmackdown.com, just kind of as you do it, write down, I think I might have missed this one and here's why. Just look at your last 10. The next is your score drop location. Does your score drop most in content-heavy sciences or in cars? If it's cars, you have a reasoning leak, and that's fairly straightforward to diagnose. Next, timed versus untimed gap. Is your score lower than untimed on the same material? That gap that gap, if you have it, is a pure timing and execution leak. So having some sense of time as you go through everything and having a clock running when you practice, what a huge difference. Because obviously what we care about is how you perform when MCAT kind of applies some gentle pressure, sometimes not so gentle, and puts you under a time constraint. because the MCAT is about performing with constraints. Back half accuracy. If your accuracy fades in the back half of the full length, or if you don't know, that's the answer. It's a big deal. Last is plan adherence. Do you actually follow your study plan week to week, or does it quietly slip? If it slips, this leak, a non-accountable study system that you don't have to adhere to, that's amplifying every other leak. So look, in 5 questions, you got a sense more than others about why you're stuck. That takes most students 3 months of studying. You can't fix what you haven't diagnosed. Let the MCAT readiness quiz exam time section on our website, MCATSmackdown.com. Let that help you. And then in the beginning of the course, you'll get a more robust diagnosis with specifics from you. This is the 3-stage transformation path that's so key. First is to diagnose the leaks. This is to tag the misses. You need to have an easy way to tag why you missed things and keep it in a log. This finds the dominant leak in about a week. MCAT Smackdown, of course, has that built in for you. Next is prescribe. Targeted treatments, review, drills, pacing, stamina to your leaks. Remember, most leaks are not because you don't know the content. Now, if you're new to the MCAT and you're not even sure about the content, we got to buff you up on content. And MCAT Smackdown does that. It gets you to where you need to be with the content, but it's usually not the content that's the issue pretty early on. It's the other things that leak. The last is convert. Eliminate leaks and jump scores in written sections. That becomes very straightforward to do when you know your leaks, they're diagnosed tightly, and they're addressed directly. This is a protocol. It's not a pile of content. And that's the difference between MCAT Smackdown and every 1,000-page book stop, every 1,000-page doorstop you get. This is a system. It includes written content materials. It includes an AI coach. It includes a test interface that simulates test day. It includes an error log for you. So many different things that add up to your success. So stop studying blind. Every week you study blind is a week of effort, draining out of a hole that you haven't found. So here are your next steps. 1, you can go to MCATSmackdown.com, take the diagnostic and readiness assessment. It'll tell you your lowest section. It'll give you an approximate score. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes, and it will also help you diagnose your leak. Now, at the beginning of the MCAT Smackdown course, that's when we really focus in on you and your leak. So once you've signed up, that's when we diagnose and start to repair your leaks. The next step is to go to MCATSmackdown.com, and another step is on Amazon and other places, probably your local bookstore. The MCAT Smackdown book, it's not the whole course. It has a lot of the content for every module, all the biology and cars and all the different sections. It also has a lot of our system. It's nowhere near the full course, but it helps. You can pick that up on Amazon.com under Seal the Leaks, and that's our latest MCAT Smackdown book. And of course, you can take a look at the website and decide which cohort makes sense for you. We take them on a rolling basis. If you need more assistance than what the cohort group can provide you with, we also have the Inner Circle group. It's additional work, training, even more personalized. Those are all options. You can find them on the site. Remember that the MCAT rewards early diagnosis. The students who jump are the ones who find their leak months out. And the earlier you do it, the better. If you do it the week before or in the last minute full-length practice, that's hard. Your exam date isn't really going to move very much. The only variable you control is when and how you start. Studying blind gets you plateaued, gets you grinding, keeps you hoping. Getting diagnosed and prescribed is leak found, protocol running. Converting is score moving, target in sight. You don't need to study harder. You need to stop leaking. Take the free assessment at MCATSmackdown.com. Go find your leak. Look forward to talking with you soon.